Big story this evening. The Global Entrepreneurship Summit has kicked off in Hyderabad, and the city has been turned into a fortress for the mega congregation of policymakers and corporate leaders from India, US and many other countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in the city, and also in attendance is the daughter of the US President Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump. Ivanka is a special advisor to the US President and is right now attending the summit in her official capacity. She held talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Indian delegation. Ivanka Trump landed in Hyderabad today with the Secret Service in tow. Hyderabad is seeing unprecedented security deployment with 10,000 personnel guarding the city and the mega summit. Earlier in the day, the Prime Minister inaugurated the Hyderabad Metro and took the first ride with the Chief Minister of Telangana, K. Chandrasekhar Rao. The first phase of the Metro project, which has been flagged off, will connect 30 kilometers. Here is all the sights and sounds from the mega summit in Hyderabad.
Give me a sense of what you would like to achieve through the GES.
Well, firstly, thank you so much. In fact, we'd like to thank the Honorable Prime Minister and Niti Aayog for choosing Telangana and Hyderabad as the location, because they could have hosted it anywhere in India, I think, but glad that they chose Hyderabad. Delighted with the fact that this has actually brought focus to a very, very important subject. That's something we all truly believe in. Entrepreneurship, I think, is something that has traditionally within India has been a misunderstood subject, especially from the government's side. But now I'm delighted that we have a Prime Minister who talks about Startup India, who talks about innovation, who talks about Stand-up India, inclusive innovation. So we are looking forward with a great deal of intent to learn from some of the best in the business. We have John Chambers, we have Marcus Wallenberg, we have Ivanka Trump, and we have a number of thought leaders from across the world who are going to talk and basically rev up our young Indian minds, young entrepreneurs' minds, to basically think big, think global, and essentially come out with products for the rest of the world as well.
We're coming to you from T-Hub, one of the hottest incubators in the country, and it is our privilege to have with us on the show John Chambers. John, always a pleasure to have you on CNBC TV 18, and thank you very much for agreeing to mentor some of our young Turks here. These are companies that have come in from every part of India, from across different sectors, from education to SaaS to IoT to agriculture, and it is really our privilege to have you mentor them today. But John, let me start by talking to you about the fact that you're so bullish on India, and I've been having this conversation with you for several years now, and this momentum that you believe that India is riding on, you've always had the confidence that this will continue. So now you're putting your money where your mouth is. You were doing that even while CISCO was on, but now you're actually putting your personal wealth into India. You're backing Indian startups. You've made your first investment. What are you going to be looking for?
So when you really look at future and making investments, I compete on market transitions, not versus a competitor. I believe India is in the biggest market transition of any country in the world. I believe hugely in your Prime Minister. I would literally do almost anything for Prime Minister Modi. I think he's in the top 3 in the world, and I've met every leader in the world many, many times. And his program of Digital India, I think, will literally get the country growing not at 6 or 7% growth per year, but 10 plus. And when I said that 3 years ago, and you worded it well, I'm the biggest bull in India, and I'm doubling down again with my personal time and energy, which is more important. The finances are nice, but as I was teasing about with Umesh earlier, that's not the key ingredient here. The key ingredient is, do we create a startup India with scale that goes across all 29 of the states, that literally helps the per capita income double every 6 to 7 years, that as 1.2 million people come into the workforce, we create that opportunity. I think almost all job creation will come through startups and gender equality. So why am I here? I believe in your leadership. I think you're best positioned in the world. I think everyone has viewed India as traditionally a slow starter. Now you're an innovator that people say, are you going too fast? My only recommendation to the Prime Minister, go even faster. So I'm here because of you all, and this is a chance to teach, which I love doing. And this is what I'm going to do for the next at least 1 to 2 decades of my life, is to help startups become really big on a larger scale.
So what do you look for when you analyze whether you should back a startup or not?
Perfect. So the first thing I look for, and each of you want to think about how would your company apply, because this is what any investor is going to look for. First, I'm looking, are you in a market transition? If you're entering a market, the transition can be the way customers buy. It can be new technology such as artificial intelligence or mobility or social media that does it, or drones, IoT. Is there a transition going on? Secondly, are you positioned to where you have a chance to lead that transition, and are you within 1 to 2 years of it occurring in front of you? I then look very specifically at you, the CEO. I invest on market transition and then the CEO. Does she or he really have the skills to lead an organization and grow rapidly? Does she or he really want to be coached? Do you know what you know and know what you don't? And that might sound basic, but most CEOs get into trouble with thinking they know an area and they can therefore do the next area very well. I look to see who your lighthouse customers are, and I usually talk to the customers. I then see who's backing you. What are the VCs involved, or the angel investors in terms of the approach, and then your leadership team. What I'm proposing is a replicable innovation process on how I make selections, but also how each one of you ought to think about how you position your company.
Okay.